The night sky erupted with fiery streaks as the vanguard of the Exorian fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. Commander Zara Keel stood on the observation deck of the Global Defense Headquarters in Geneva, her weathered face illuminated by emergency lights. 23 years in the military had prepared her for many things, but not this. Not an invasion of this scale. Satellite imagery shows over 300 vessels in high orbit, Commander, Lieutenant Santos reported, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. The largest ship appears to be the size of Manhattan. Zara nodded silently. Humanity had long speculated about first contact, but few had imagined it would come in the form of an armada capable of blotting out the stars. The Exorians had made their intentions clear. Earth's resources were to be harvested, its population subjugated. There would be no negotiation. "What's the status of Project Prometheus?" she asked. Santos hesitated. "Dr. Amory says it's ready, but what, Lieutenant?" "She says once activated, there's no going back. For anyone." Zara closed her eyes briefly. Project Prometheus had been humanity's most closely guarded secret for the past decade, a desperate contingency plan developed after astronomers first detected unusual activity in the Kuiper Belt. Scientists and engineers from every nation had worked in underground facilities, creating what many considered an abomination against nature itself. "Patch me through to the Security Council," she ordered. Within minutes, the holographic projections of 12 world leaders filled the command center. Some appeared composed, others clearly terrified. All were united by the knowledge that conventional weapons, even nuclear arsenals, would be useless against the technological superiority of the Exorians. "The enemy has begun systematic attacks on major cities," Zara reported. "Seoul and Cairo have already fallen. Moscow and Tokyo are under heavy assault. Our air defenses are ineffective against their shielding technology." "And Prometheus?" asked the Chinese premier, her voice barely audible. "Operational," Zara confirmed. "But I must emphasize, this is not merely a weapon. If authorized, we will fundamentally alter what it means to be human." The German chancellor leaned forward. "To be clear, Commander, you're suggesting we voluntarily initiate the very transformation we feared from alien contact?" "Yes," Zara replied simply. "We integrate the quantum neural network with the global satellite grid. Every human with a neural implant, nearly 80% of the adult population, becomes part of a collective consciousness. Individual identities remain, but we fight as one organism, with processing power and reaction times beyond anything we could achieve as individuals." Silence fell across the chamber. The neural implants, originally designed for enhanced communication and information access, had been humanity's greatest technological achievement of the past 30 years. Now, they would become either salvation or damnation. "And those without implants?" asked the Nigerian president. Zara's expression hardened. "They remained themselves. Someone needs to remember what we once were." The vote took less than 2 minutes. Authorization was granted with only one dissenting voice. Dr. Lydia Amarai stood before the activation terminal, her fingers hovering over the biometric scanner. At 68, she had dedicated her life to neurotechnology, believing it would unite humanity. Never had she imagined it would do so in such desperate circumstances. "Are you certain?" she asked Zara, who stood beside her. "No," Zara admitted, "but I am certain about what happens if we don't." Lydia nodded and pressed her palm to the scanner. "The transformation will take approximately 7 minutes. The Exorians will detect the power surge immediately." "Then we better hope 7 minutes is fast enough," Zara replied. The process began with a whisper, billions of neural implants across the planet simultaneously receiving new instruction sets. People froze mid-motion in streets, in bunkers, in homes and hospitals. Their eyes glazed momentarily before regaining focus with newfound awareness. Suddenly, Each human could sense millions of others, their thoughts flowing together like tributaries into a vast river of consciousness. In orbit, the Exorian commander, Supreme Tactician Vexorn, detected the unusual energy signature emanating from the planet's surface. Curious but unconcerned, he ordered acceleration of the attack timeline. The Armada deployed additional landing craft toward the remaining resistance centers. What happened next defied Exorian tactical prediction algorithms. Human defense systems, previously operating in isolated pockets, suddenly coordinated with frightening precision. Missile trajectories adjusted mid-flight to account for Exorian evasive patterns. Power grids rerouted energy to previously dormant experimental weapons. Civilian transportation networks began moving resources and personnel with inexplicable efficiency. On the battlefield, human soldiers moved with perfect synchronization, each instinctively aware of the other's positions and intentions. Scientists worldwide simultaneously contributed insights to counter Exorian technology, their collaborative breakthroughs implemented within seconds. Vexorn watched in growing alarm as 3 of his battleships fell in rapid succession to weapons that hadn't existed 6 minutes earlier, created from repurposed terrestrial technology, guided by the collective scientific knowledge of 8 billion minds. "They've changed," he communicated to the Exorian High Command. "This is not the species we studied." By the 3rd day of the invasion, half the Exorian fleet had retreated to a defensive position beyond the moon. Vexorn requested reinforcements, only to be denied. The High Command had reviewed the battle data and reached an unprecedented conclusion. The resource expenditure required to conquer Earth now exceeded the potential gain. On the 7th day, the remaining Exorian ships departed the solar system. Humanity had survived, but at what cost? The neural network, initially intended as a temporary measure, proved impossible to fully deactivate. The collective consciousness persisted, evolving beyond its military purpose. Individuals retained their personal identities, but the boundaries between minds had been irrevocably blurred. 1 month after the Exorians' departure, Zara stood in Dr. Amari's laboratory, watching visual representations of neural activity across the planet. "We're different now," Lydia observed. "Not quite human anymore, but not a hive mind either." "Something new." Zara nodded. "Was it worth it?" "Ask me in a century," Lydia replied. "We've traded our isolation for connection, our individual limitations for collective potential. We've given up privacy of thought, but gained understanding of each other beyond anything previously possible."